One of the worst things that can happen to a photographer is you miss one piece of equipment. And that one piece of equipment can keep you from using other pieces of equipment. But in this instance, it was a blessing in disguise, and I was introduced to a new light. The light that I was introduced to is the Neewer. It's a ring light, it's a hot light, it's a ring light. And in this episode, what you're gonna see is I'm doing like a content creation package is what I call it. So it's a combination of photo and video. So I'll be shooting some photos, and then I'll also do a little bit of video of most of the looks, not every single look. But you'll see examples of that. But the cool thing is that I'm able to use this light easily, whereas in the beginning I showed up there expecting to use a strobe and use the strobes for the stills, and then I was going to do some natural light stuff with the video. The light itself is meant to be used to shoot kind of straight on. It's a ring light. You shoot straight on with it. In this episode I'm going to be using it off to the side. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise, and I actually really like this light. I'm probably gonna get one for myself. Once again, using my favorite combo. This is the X-T3 with the Zeiss 50. What's up? Here she is.
Hey.
Michelle Percy. Did you want to shoot inside or outside?
Both, a little bit. We need to do like a little holiday.
Is that what you want to do this today?
Mm-hmm. Like
get some holiday shots?
Holiday looks.
For
friends.
Future posts?
Uh-huh.
So with the shoot today, we're going to get you stuff that you can post over a few months.
On to the roof.
Ready to go to the roof?
The two camera technique. Oh no.
Would look good. There's a lot of cars up here, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Eventually I found a spot. I like to keep my images very minimalist, so I found some different backgrounds that didn't involve a lot of cars. So it was also sunny that day, so we kind of experimented with like different hand gestures to be blocking the light from their eyes and whatnot, and kind of playing with the experimenting with like as if they're checking something out, which is fun. And for this one, we have Catherine in her red jumper. I chose this background because I like the way that gray building works with the color of her outfit. A few other things that I do is I'm always trying to catch motion. Motion in fashion photography is a very well-known thing. Richard Avedon was one of the first people to kind of start doing that back in the day. Yeah, so catching motion is very important. And then also, to keep it interesting, in the spirit of a fashion story, I basically incorporated that into the way I shoot. I'm very rarely using the same background with different outfits or whatnot. I'm trying to change the environment with the outfits. So after we photographed on the roof for a little bit, we got a couple looks up there, and I was actually quite surprised at how they came out. I thought they looked very good. So then we headed inside, where I used a light that they happen to have over there, and it worked really well for what I was planning on doing, which was shooting stills at a shallow depth of field and making some video. Check this out, guys. I have this is like my old Profoto stuff back when they had like a ballast and light. Now they're all like one piece as far as I know. But we got this these old heads here to the strobe pack. Problem is, I left my the power cord to it, so it looks like we can't use that. So we're gonna use some random light that they had over here. I don't know what this thing is. It's like a beauty light that they sell to people for their own little personal portraits. There we go, the Neewer. It's a little ring light, but like I said earlier, I want to do a lot of shallow depth of field, so this light's going to be perfect for that because it's not going to put out quite as much light. It's going to be a good balance, and we'll be able to have some beautiful images like usual. You know, it's pretty interesting because I always thought that I wouldn't be able to make interesting photos in a clothing store, but I was pleasantly surprised at my ability to find different angles and different compositions. You know, if you would have asked me years ago if I were to do like a project like this, I would have expected that I would need much more higher end equipment and whatnot. But being that I like to shoot at a shallow depth of field anyway, using a little hot light like this, or it's actually a cool light, it's like LEDs, was very, very useful. And it was also very useful because it made it really easy to switch between photo and video like this. This is a little Instagram story that the company uses on their site. So this is part of my content creation package that I've been doing for people. Now this is a beautiful look. I think these pictures came out really nice, and as you can see, I am using that light on her. She's also being lit a little bit by the windows. One thing I wanted to point out about that light is it is corrected, so it's around 5500 Kelvin, which is basically equal to the sunlight, which is, in comparison to the tungsten lights in the background, you might notice that those are orange. It actually shows up a little more in the video here, but you can see the difference now. It comes with different filters that help you to balance that out. So if you wanted all the lights to be equal, all the same color, you would use that orange filter with tungsten lights in the background, and all your lights would be the same color temperature. I actually really enjoy shooting mixing color temperatures, but I try to keep the light that is on the product that I'm shooting to be corrected. So ultimately for a job like this, you're trying to sell the product. So you want the colors of the product to show up properly. Whereas if I was shooting with tungsten light and I allowed it to, and I didn't compensate for that tungsten light, the colors of the outfits would look different. The skin would be a little oranger, things like that. But this Neewer light is you can call it like blue. Now, this one with the tiger shirt and the leather jacket, now you can really see the orange background because of the lights in the building. They are tungsten, and that Neewer light, like I said, is corrected for daylight. It's basically 5500, 5600 Kelvin is basically where the color temperature of the sun midday, ideally. You see a lot of this tungsten in the background of this black dress as well. Yeah, this dress is, I would call it a fun piece to shoot. Like, it was very flowy. We're playing around a lot with the motion, and it shows up a lot in the video. Yeah, it's fun stuff. Yeah, so I think most of that stuff came out pretty well. I appreciate you guys watching, and it just kind of brings to mind, it's like, it's not the tool, it's how you use it. Whereas what I mean by that is just because something's a little bit cheaper doesn't mean you can make it work or you can do good work with it. So especially these days, the technology is just so far beyond what we were years ago that, I mean, you can make so much with so little. You can use an iPhone to make amazing stuff these days. But what this reminds me of is, see, I assisted photographers for a good 15 years or so, like in Los Angeles and in New York. And there were many shoots that I was on that were, you know, like Disney TV show shoots with lots of actors and whatnot. And they would have these huge budgets. And then most of the time, what I realized is like, we'd only be using like 1 or 2 lights. And most of it was for show. I've had even multiple photographers that I worked with say that. They literally were like, yeah, we set up all these different big lights just in case we needed them. But for the most part, it was all for show. Pretty interesting. You know, sometimes the minimalist way is the best way. And just remember, it's not the tool, it's how you use it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all those things, and we'll get some new episodes soon. Hopefully some more travel, jiu-jitsu, photography episodes like the Rio de Janeiro stuff. I have more footage of that I'm still going through. So hopefully we'll get some of that to you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. And don't forget, go to class.